to do is press this big red button!
Not so fast, Joker.
Well.
I finally checked out the 2026 DC Superheroes and Supervillains event at Warner Bros. Movie World. This is their winter event that takes place at the park during the school holidays. This is usually a fun and exciting event with lots of extra DC characters, shows, theming, and an awesome parade. This year, though, it was actually pretty poor overall and reeked of budget cuts. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the good, and you see it immediately as you go into the park. Most of the DC villain statues from the neglected DC Villains Land have moved here, all placed in fun spots around the entrance plaza. This is fantastic and fits really well. Killer Croc in the fountain is perfection, and I like what they did to the other characters, such as Gorilla Grodd. I like how he's holding the Get Off the Garden sign, and Bizarro seems to have a piece of the Superman coaster. New for this year also is some unearthed props from the now defunct Arkham Asylum coaster, which is really cool, and I'm glad the park kept all this stuff. There's even the Joker and Batman figures from the attraction. What else is good? Well, the cast were great as always and put a lot of effort into their characters. Some were better than others, of course, but as a whole I think they did a good job. Now for the bad. The DC event has usually been a semi-night event, due to it being winter in Australia. The parade used to be held at the end of the day, starting at around 5, so it would be held in the dark. But this year, well, they moved it to 3:30, the usual time for the parade, meaning it's in the day. It's a real shame, as it was so cool having an atmospheric parade with, all the lighting and ambiance you can only get from a theme park at night. The shows are also, well, less. The Fun Black Canary live show, which debuted last year, wasn't on this year. Heck, there's no new live show at all, which is a real shame as, it was common to have at least one new live show each year to keep things fresh. Same with the characters, there's no new ones this year, aside from Supergirl having a slightly new look to tie in with the new movie. But that's it. It was always fun and exciting, predicting what new characters they'd add every year, but this year, nada, nothing. Lex Luthor, who also debuted last year, didn't even show up in person, instead appearing occasionally on the Main Street screens in these pre-recorded messages, which is weird as he was prominently on the marketing images. Also, while this isn't a specific problem for this year, there was no exclusive merchandise or special themed DC food, which is something you'd usually see at international parks during their events. But again, nada, nothing. Also, the DC Villains Land is still sitting there, unused and forgotten, when it would have been perfect for this event to be, used in some way. Now, the main disappointment this year, the parade. Aside from the issues of it being held earlier in the light, it's much shorter with less floats and characters. It's basically just the usual park parade with a couple of extra DC characters instead of Marilyn Monroe and Scooby-Doo. Yup, this means the awesome mini live show sections which were held in previous years have disappeared. What a shame is this? Those moments were fantastic. The parade would pause halfway and you'd have what was basically a live show play out, where the heroes fight the villains. It also had the iconic moment where Batman ziplines down Main Street, which was always really special to see. I'm sure that was a core memory for lots of kids. But this year, once again, nope, nada. Batman is stuck on the Batmobile as usual. This is really sad, and to say I'm disappointed would be an understatement. So what could the reason for this change be? Well, recently it seems Village Roadshow Theme Parks, who owns Movie World and other parks like SeaWorld, are trying to significantly cut costs and save on money. They're doing many things like cutting park operations by an hour during the off-season, removing physical cash payments in parks to save on the extra costs associated with them. There's noticeably less performers in the park. Compare the Riddler show this year to previous years. And they've even apparently cancelled the Carnivale event next year at SeaWorld, without changing the cost to annual passes, which one of the perks is including a ticket to said event. All the performers at Movie World also go home right after the parade, meaning a DC event will have no characters right at the end of the day. This is all after the embezzlement scandal earlier this year, where some village executives apparently stole over $1 million in funds from the theme park division. Yikes! And as often in these situations, we, the paying customers, are feeling the repercussions. It's a real shame, and hopefully Village can get their act together for next year. I've been pretty critical of them over the last few years and how they've run the parks, but honestly 2025 was looking a lot better for them, with lots of good improvements. The DC event is usually a great time of year to visit, but now it pretty much felt like a normal park day instead of, it being a special annual event. It feels like in many ways in the last couple of months, Village have taken one step forwards and two steps backwards, with the DC event raising many red flags. Let's hope they get back on the right path. So, what do you think? Have you visited the park during the event this year? Did you get a similar impression? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Ogre and out!